The snowfall during the night is melting down. There is a strong gusting wind. Time to do some repair on the broken mast. A few strokes with the rasp to prepare the hole for the gluing. I cut a new pipe to length. By breaking up the structure, the bond will be stronger. When all is prepared, I mix up some epoxy. I try to make the pipe stronger by gluing an inner pipe inside the pipe. I let the inner pipe overlap a few centimeters into the leftover pipe. While rotating the pipe while pushing it inside, I get more epoxy inside and less mess on the outside. The locking pins will need adjustment, but I managed to get the plate in place. A few clamps to hold the pieces together while curing. The plate left a gap towards the mast, so I needed some rope to push it in place. After a nice curing, I could remove the setup. Now I needed to fill the cuts with epoxy. When most of the inside was filled with epoxy, I could start working on the outside. The surfaces needed strengthening. With several layers of epoxy and sanding in between, I was ready for varnish. Now, the receiving part of the mast. This was a little less complicated process, as the only thing that was broken on this piece was a protection plate. A couple of layers of epoxy and some sanding in between, and I was ready for varnish here as well. The setup for the hinge would need the receiving hole to keep the pin in place. I plan to use the bottom hole for this. One side needed to be removed, and I cut away the wall. I made a radius to allow for the rotation. To make it watertight, I needed to cover everything in epoxy. The support for the hinge was cut with an angle grinder. And polished with a file. As I planned to change the trampoline anyway, I could remove it. I needed 2 holes for the hinge support. While I was working on the crossbeam, I could as well improve it. The trampoline would work better with more holes on the edges. The enlarged part of the pin needed to be removed. The new holes needed water protection with epoxy. And the support also needed to be glued. A hole to rotate the mast was drilled. Now I could see that the hole for the pin was not large enough to allow for the rotation. It needed to be enlarged. Where the rotation hole is located, the mast is hollow, so I needed a pipe to make the construction watertight. I glued all with epoxy. Then I could cut off the excess. Some paint job to finish the modified crossbeam. A few days later I could try the hinge and turn to the trampoline. I decided to only use woven bands and skip the rope. Soon ready for the second sail, but that has to wait until next week.